All right, welcome back to Demand. Um, in the last video, we talked about how just the basics of demand, that demand has an inverse relationship with price. And now we're going to look at, um, which means that as price increases, demand decreases. As price decreases, demand increases. So when one goes down, the other one goes up. Now we're going to look a little bit more at how types of products and kind of just different factors that affect demand curve. Okay, you can kind of think of these six factors that shift the demand curve. Think of them as things that would make you want to buy stuff. They're things that make you want to buy more or buy less of something. Okay, so number one is pretty obvious: income. If you have more money, you're gonna want to buy more stuff. Okay, so you have something called a normal good. Normal goods are things that have a direct relationship with income. So if you get a big pay raise, if you're the more money you make, the more of these goods you're going to buy. The less money you make, the less of these goods you're going to buy. A good example is steak. Um, when people have less money, they'll buy less steak because steak is kind of a more expensive food item. When they have more money, they generally buy more steak. Inferior goods are the exact opposite. As your income rises, you buy less of these things. As your income falls, you buy more of them. So inferior goods are kind of like generic things. Like instead of getting Oreos, you get like those generic stupid Oreos. Um, or like ramen noodles. People buy ramen noodles when they don't have a lot of money. But when they all of a sudden, if they could have a bunch of money, they'll buy like uh, actual pasta dishes or kind of healthier eating options. And then that last one, that last type of good that is affected by your income are neutral goods. Neutral goods are things that your income can go up and down. It doesn't matter because you'll always buy these things. These things like toilet paper, like medicine, stuff like that that you need, that you just need to buy. You just have to have it. Um, like internet service or electricity, stuff like that. Those are neutral goods. They don't get they're just not affected by your income. Now the prices of related goods. This is the second factor that shifts the demand curve, either left or right. The prices of related goods. So you have two types of related goods. Substitute goods, which are something similar. Like if Coke raised all the prices on all of Coke products, well, if you raise it up too high, if you all of a sudden you're trying to buy a $4 Coke and Pepsi is $1.15, you're gonna buy the Pepsi for $1.15. You know, um, so the price of similar goods, the price of substitutes, can affect the demand for something. If a substitute is really cheap, um, then you'll probably go with the substitute instead of the actual good that you want. The other good are complements. Complements are like hot dogs and hot dog buns. They're things that go with the the thing that you're buying. And so, for instance, um, if hot dogs get really expensive and you're not going to buy any more hot dogs, then you have no reason to buy hot dog buns. So you stop buying hot dog buns. Factor 3 is consumer taste and advertising. These this is just advertising. People, you know, you kind of figure out what's cool and what you like, and then celebrities sell those things to you, or um, what have you, or whatever's in, whatever kind of the fashion trend is at the moment. That those things kind of can trigger an increase or a decrease in demand of certain items. Number 4 is the number of buyers. This is our if there are a number of buyers in the area, then all of a sudden the demand for that good increases. So a good example is like people vacationing in Florida. You go down to Florida, all of a sudden things are more expensive because there are more people there competing to buy them. So people, all of a sudden the prices go up on things because there are a lot of people there who all want, bottled water on the beach and it's really hot. And there's only one place to get bottled water. Something like that would increase the price, and by extension the demand for a good. Factor number 6 are general demographics. This has to do with like age and ethnicity and cultural kind of traditions and things that people buy. So there are a lot of elderly in Florida, and elderly people need hearing aids, and so there is a higher demand for hearing aids in Florida than other states. It can also be connected to cultural things as well. Um, for instance, in an area with a large Latino population, maybe there is a higher demand for tortillas at the local grocery store, things like that. That are kind of connected to traditional ethnic cuisine. And the sixth and final factor that can shift the demand curve are consumers' expectations. This is that the demand for something can be lowered if you expect it to be cheaper tomorrow. So if you think something's going to go on sale next week, then why would I pay more money today than why don't I just wait for it next week? Or, more commonly, I guess, things will go on sale that you don't really need, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I should buy, 2 of these this week because it's going to be more expensive next week. So if you think you're going to have to pay more in the future, maybe all of a sudden there's an increased demand. Now, this is something you need to be aware of. There is a difference between a change in demand and a change in the quantity demanded. If there is a change in demand, then the demand curve, the entire curve, either shifts to the right or shifts to the left. Now, a change in quantity demanded is because it has a change in its price. So, change in demand shifts the curve either right or left. Change in price or change in quantity demanded is an effect of price. And so if we go from price A to price B, there is a decrease in demand. Okay? If we go from price B to price C, there is an increase in quantity demanded. So if I go from price C to price A, there is an increase in quantity demanded. Now if I go over to this graph and I say, well, there's a shift over to the right, that's an increase in demand. An increase in demand. Moving to the left, that's a decrease in demand. This is an increase and decrease in quantity demanded on this side. This is where things get a little complicated. Elasticity is kind of the stretching. And what elasticity is, it means something that stretches, something that's elastic. Elasticity of demand is a relationship between the percentage change in the quantity demanded and the percentage change in price. If the quantity demanded changes at a fast rate, when compared to the price, then there's high elasticity. So elastic demand is when when the price changes, there's a large change in demand. So you think of it as being like demand being really sensitive to the price. Okay? So if price changes just a little bit, all of a sudden demand changes like huge. Then you have inelastic demand. Here you can have a change in price and there's like almost no change in demand. Almost no change in demand. So elastic demand is really sensitive. If you change price a little bit, then there's just big jump in demand. Inelastic is not sensitive at all. Okay? So you can change the price, you can change it dollars, hundreds of dollars, and then price quantity demanded doesn't change much at all. An example would be like gas, something people have to buy regardless of how much it costs. Because they need it to get to work or to get to school or to wherever they're going to go. So regardless of how much it is, they're probably going to buy it. They're not just going to stop buying gas because they can't really go without it. Unit elastic is when there's no change in demand when price changes. There are 4 determinants of elasticity. Number 1 is the number of substitutes. If there are a lot of goods that you can get that are similar to the product you're getting, then when you change the price, people are just going to go buy those substitutes. And so then when there are good substitutes, then it becomes more elastic. So if there are few or no substitutes, then it's inelastic, like diamonds. Luxuries versus necessities. If you need something, then it's going to be inelastic. If something's a luxury, if you don't really need it, if it's a want, then it's going to be elastic. It's going to the price or the demand is going to change a lot when you change price. If it's something you have to buy like gas, then it's just inelastic. So generally thinking, things that you want, things that are just wants, if you think back to chapter 1, wants are going to be elastic and needs are going to be inelastic. Okay, inelastic means non-sensitive. Relative importance. The more important something is, to you, the more inelastic it will be. So the higher percentage of somebody's income that's spent on a good, the more elastic demand for that good will be. And the 4th determinant of elasticity is time. And that is that something could be inelastic in the short term, but in the long run become elastic because consumers don't want to pay as much for gas. So all of a sudden they invent new cars. All of a sudden they want cars that are more gas efficient, and then dealerships or car manufacturers create those cars that have better gas mileage and abilities. This I'm just going to open up and you guys can fill out at your convenience. Just pause the video.